Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, first question. What gym workout routine should I go on after the ice cream workout? I always ask, but you don't reply, lol. Hopefully, this time you will. Alright. Other people already answered. The guy in the comments were like, he's going to tell you conjugate. And that's my usual answer. You need to run after you are a novice. You need to run a conjugate template or consider 531. Again, you're going to have to customize your accessory work. Even if you run any of these templates how they are, you're going to have to figure out the accessory work. You're going to have to figure out the volume unless you're going to hire a coach. But again, keep in mind, coaching is my primary business, not YouTube. Hit me up if you need a coach, obviously. But I understand a very big chunk of you can't afford it, and I respect that. So, again, we put out tons of free information for you guys. But in this case, I don't recommend other stuff. These are proven systems. They're both customizable templates, and that is what you have to have when you are no longer a novice. I get people who are like, can't you give us a cookie cutter program for intermediates and advanced lifters? And it's like, no, this is why people get hurt. This is why people stall. This is why people spend years and years and years and years and years getting nowhere. Because of that mindset, the idea that you need a cookie cutter program. All right, either one of these templates will work. I lean in the direction of conjugate, but I do understand the lower specificity, needing a little more equipment. All of those things can make it daunting. It can make it problematic for some people, and in which case, run 531. Just rotate your accessory work often if you're going to do it, right? Because you don't have the rotation built into the primary list the same way. And you shouldn't on that system. It's not necessary. All right, so very simple, very easy answer. All right, next question. How do I know when I'm ready for my first meet? Do I need to reach a certain strength level? Good question. Don't use me as an example. People are like, Jason, you spent years and years off the platform and you're taking your time to go back. You're talking about being able to break records before you go back. Why is that? Well, because I've already proven myself at meets. I've done meets. I've judged a bunch of meets, by the way, for those who forget that. There are plenty of pictures of me out there judging meets. All right? I've attended plenty of meets for fun. I coach people who do more meets than me, to be honest. I have clients I've coached through more actual powerlifting meets than I've done, and that's fine. I'm stepping back on the platform to win. I don't recommend that for most people, right? That's not how I started either. What I recommend is that you build a little bit of a strength base, and when you're ready to compete. What you should not use is embarrassment. Right? Now, if you post your stuff to the internet, people are going to call you weak. If you put up a 450 squat at your powerlifting meet on the internet, people on the internet, random trolls, are going to call you weak and they're going to make fun of you and all that, right? Nobody is going to do that in a real powerlifting meet. You will find not only is powerlifting extremely inclusive and supportive as a sport, people will literally lose their memberships for doing that. In other words, when someone makes fun of your lifts and starts calling you out, if they're in the same federation you are online, it would be real wise of them to not do it under their real name and their real profile. In other words, they better use a fake profile to do it, because it's actually a good way to get yourself suspended from competition. For those who are unaware, and for you guys too who are starting out, don't go online making fun of a bunch of powerlifters in the federation you want to compete in. You're going to find yourself kicked out, right? You're going to find yourself suspended from competing for a year, because a lot of the feds have rules specifically against that. Something I'm going to drop on a bunch of people later too, and they're going to have to watch that, who smack talk me online. I'll get them kicked out of competition. I don't care. The rules state you can't do that to other members of your federation. And that is how it works. So, again, you can't slander people. So you get to a competition, you're going to find everyone's going to cheer for you. Like once you're on the platform competing, there is a sense of camaraderie and brotherhood, and the weakest guy or girl at the meet is still going to be cheered on. I watched a guy walk in and squat 95 pounds for his third attempt. I watched him bench 65 pounds. It was his first powerlifting meet. A guy showed up. In fact, it was a powerlifting meet where I was getting my certification to judge. I was getting certified to judge for the WPC. And a guy walked in and did that. I remember that. Of course, he had to take 135 on the deadlift because he had to be able to use a full plate. So the guy squatted 95 pounds, benched 65, and deadlift 135. And no, he was not at a super light body weight. And you know what? Everybody cheered for him. Everybody cheered for him, including me. Do you know why? Do you know why I cheered for that guy? Because he had some fucking balls to get up and do a powerlifting meet in front of a bunch of lifters knowing he was a noob. Right? He knew he was a noob. He knew he was weak. But he had balls. And you know what? I cheered for that guy. Because he displayed some courage. Right? He displayed some actual courage. He wasn't a fucking pussy. So I cheered for him, and so did everybody else. So do a meet as soon as you feel you're ready. Don't worry about it. All right, next question. Theoretically, would there be a benefit to changing the resistance curve of rows so that it's even more difficult instead of much harder at the top? How are you going to do that? Right? What do you mean? You're going to make it harder at the bottom? How? How are you going to do that? Everything that you do is going to make it harder at the top. Now, some people will say, is there merit to that? Is there any reason to row with chains or bands? Yeah, even though it's a worse strength curve technically, because we're usually already weaker at the top, if you need to vary resistance because of overuse, right? If we're trying to get something else in to avoid overuse, let's say you have one barbell at home. You have no dumbbells, but you got some bands or chains, right? You can do that. You can change your resistance curve to help with overuse. Outside of that, there's no benefit because technically rows tend to be harder at the top already. So from a strength curve perspective, it doesn't make sense, but you could do it for variation. But as far as the other goes, I mean, as far as asking the question, I mean, in theory, yes. How are you going to do that, though? I don't know of any tools, consistent tools that are available. You know, unless you want to try something like weight releasers, I don't know, but you're going to have to reset them every rep. It's a lot of work. So in theory, sure. But in practice, not so much. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.